So I'm Cooley Walters. I'm going to be the new host of the Effortless podcast. I'm Cooley Walters, going to be the new host of the Effortless Conversations podcast. I'm joined here today with Olivia Keenan. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Olivia?
Hi, thank you for having me. Do I look at you or at the camera?
You can look wherever you want. You can look at me, you can look at the camera. You don't need to look at the mic, though.
Okay. Thank you for having me. So I'm Olivia. I have been working at Princeton for almost 2 years. I was the onboarding specialist. Now I just got a new title. It's People Operations Partner, so POP.
Very nice. All right.
I actually started as an executive assistant to Mark Gordon before all this. Mark Gordon's our national sales director and now chief revenue officer. Shout out to Mark. That's kind of how I started my journey here, and then went into onboarding in the midst of all the COVID and hire everybody fast.
What was that like, doing onboarding during COVID?
It was stressful, but also like the time of my life, because really from going to being Mark's assistant and doing that for, I want to say maybe 6 months, coming into the industry with no mortgage or corporate experience.
Right.
I was just like a little baby out of college. I did have one job out of college that lasted like a year, and we can get into that. But yeah, I didn't have much experience. I joined with Mark. I learned a ton with him because if you know Mark Gordon, he's one of the greatest leaders and coaches that I've ever gotten the opportunity to learn from.
He's a very passionate dude.
Yeah, very passionate. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I always say he's a little hyperbolic. So it's like he's always one extreme or the other.
I can see that.
And I tell him that. We're very obviously transparent, so I've given him that feedback. But he's also a type 8 Enneagram.
Okay. I'm a type 8 as well. That's funny.
Are you?
I didn't know Mark was as well, too.
Mark's a type 8, I'm a type 8, Rich is a type 8.
Look at that.
So, and then there are a few others, but...
Just destined for success.
Yeah, that's a plan, but you have to learn how to be I think it's like a healthy type 8.
Right,
so
yes.
On the levels, have you looked at the...
So tell me a little bit about type 8. Like, talk a little bit about the Enneagram and like how that...
I can go off about the Enneagram.
Because this is part of the onboarding, right? So
Yeah, we do. Okay.
So tell me about it.
Okay, yeah, if I'm going off track, like...
No, please. We're just having a conversation.
Okay, cool.
All good.
So type 8, and the Enneagram's really cool because a lot of companies don't... I think maybe they do like a webinar or seminar about Enneagrams and how different personality types work together. But this is something that our leadership team is very adamant about, everybody coming in knowing the personality types, knowing maybe what personality type your boss is or what your coworker is. And so when I came here, I was like, oh, that's so cool. I actually know a little bit about Enneagrams. And I also said I know a lot about, what is it called? The Gemini, Virgo.
Astrology.
And Mark was like, astrology's not real. And I was like,
but Enneagram is.
Yeah, but Enneagram is, right? But that's a whole nother thing that we got into. But so he asked me if I knew my Enneagram type, and I said, I'm a type 2. Like, I'm the helper.
Okay.
And it's type 1 through 9. All of them are different. So type 2 is the helper. I was like, I'm a caregiver. That's definitely me. I've taken the test before. And he said, take it again. They had worked with me for a couple weeks, and Mark and Dave and Shelly, anyone who was in the office was like, you're nice and you're kind, but there might be something that's a little bit more you.
Right.
So I took the test that they gave me, and it came back solid 8. So no wings, nothing in a close second.
100% 8.
100% 8. And I was like, what even is an 8? Like, I don't know much about it. And so I'm looking into it, and it's like the challenger, dominating, like a little bit, lack of a better term, bitchy. And if I'm not allowed to cuss, like just maybe a little bit bossy, very bossy.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, wait, this is like really hitting home to me. I feel like it's speaking directly to me, these results. And I was reading them out to Mark, and they all started laughing, and they were like, yes, you're a type 8, like tried and true. And
isn't it funny how you think that you're one thing before you take the test, and then you take the test, and the whole time you're taking the test, you're having that inner conversation with like, am I being honest or am I like just saying what I think I should say? And then it comes back and like everybody's just kind of spot on.
Yeah, and because 100%. And when I took it, I was, I think, trying to be biased. Where it's like I want to make myself the helper. But then I was like, just go like off your gut, like go answer them as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And I did, and yeah, I was a type 8, but I think it really helped me I started to feel more myself. I was like, it was like a defining moment. So I was like,
cool.
Yeah, I was like, okay, like I am bossy, but when I'm healthy, I'm not bossy. I'm a leader.
Right.
And so then I started to be able to kind of define my role in the workplace, and it gave me like a whole new kind of like Joe.
How cool is that?
Yeah,
it's like, you know, you read these things that like actually this is what's going on with you.
Yeah.
And then you like grow into that.
Yeah.
You're like, actually I am this person and I can totally do all these things.
I was like, I'm not crazy. Like I was like, this is just my personality type, and everyone can just get used to it because this is who I am. And Mark is a type 8 as well. So having a manager as a type 8, we clash a lot, but at the same time, he knows from being a type 8, he knew kind of how to gear me to the path where I'd be most successful, and how I was, you know, the way that I'm more like how I'm goal oriented and how to get me to like push me to go towards those goals. And Mark was like, listen, this is what worked best for me and my leaders. They basically just got out of my way and let me do my thing. He's like, so I'm just going to get out of your way. And he always said, like, you can dent the car, but don't wreck it.
Yeah.
So basically, like, make as many mistakes as you want to, but don't, you know, cost the company a ton of money, or don't totally make a whole big screw up. But yeah, so he kind of let me just do my thing. And then I think that's really how, without having mortgage or corporate experience, like being able to kind of climb the ladder here.
Yeah, it's Enneagram's an interesting thing, because I remember when I was first starting at Princeton, and you know, I got sent the test and I sent back my results. It was an 8, and I remember I came in and I was like, people were asking what I was, and I was an 8, and I would get kind of like a,
yeah, like
8. I was like, wait a minute, what's happening here with the 8s?
So yeah, right.
It's good to know that there's other like prominent people in the company that are 8s.
Yeah, and Rich too. So I mean, I'm the same type as the CEO.
Exactly. So. What Enneagram number do you think we have the most of in this company?
So I actually kind of know, because with onboarding, I have everybody take it, and I get the weirdest, like, why am I taking this personality test? And I'm like, wait, let me just explain.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of 3s, which is the achiever. So good, great thing to have at a company. A lot of loan officers are 3s. All the salespeople that I'm onboarding right now, it's just 3 after 3 after 3 after 3. Yeah, it's cool too how you can start to define different patterns within different like departments of the company. So like Dave Trissler, who's sales support, but he also is like a jack of all trades. Same with Jim Guggenheim, who's our executive vice president, also jack of all trades. Like they're like gatekeepers of the company basically. Right. They're both 6s.
Okay.
They're both a type 6, which is a loyalist.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's cool to when you start to really get into it, you learn about all the patterns. And Mark would be really proud of me right now, being able to like talk through this, because
Mark's gonna be so proud of you when he hears this.
Yeah, I know. He seemed like my prodigy.
Well, it's cool because that's something cool that I've noticed about Princeton is like, because of the Enneagram thing, and like, you know, they really take the time to get to know you when you first come in here, and they really like, they'll pay attention to what your strengths are. They'll note what your weaknesses are and what you can work on, and they really do a good job of like trying to steer you into like the correct position to really help you thrive.
I agree. I've never worked, I mean, although I haven't had much corporate or mortgage experience, I've had many jobs. I've worked since I was 12. Yeah. So I've been in many different industries, and I have never worked for a boss or a company where the leadership is so adamant of like, we want to know you, we want to know the good, the bad, the ugly, because without knowing the bad and the ugly, you know, how are they going to push you to where you want to go?
I know. I feel like a lot of companies, they're so, employees are so scared of like messing up or, you know, making a mistake, where that really is how you learn and how you grow. And here at Princeton, they really like, you know, if you mess up, they're not going to fire you. They're going to say, hey, you know, you learned.
It also gives you such like a newfound confidence, because something that I've always struggled with in past, I mean, before I came to Princeton, and that's actually what brought me to Charleston. So, just the story with this is I went to school in Myrtle Beach, Coastal Carolina. Shout out Chanticleers. I got a job. So my major was exercise sports science. I was always in sports, lacrosse, soccer, even though, wasn't that great, but I was a cheerleader and a gymnast, and I was a cheerleader in college, actually, and so I thought, exercise, sports science, that's what I want to do. I'm going to be a physical therapist, all that fun stuff. I graduated. I got a job down here working at a nursing home, or a senior living community, actually, on Daniel Island.
Oh, wow.
So I worked there for a year, and I did life enrichment. So activities, wellness, workouts, fitness classes, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool.
And I loved it, and that's also why I thought I was a type 2, the helper, because that was like kind of my vibe.
Right.
But it was the corporate culture there is the complete opposite from here. And I think that's in a lot of healthcare. I don't want to say all, I don't want to.
Right.
But that was at least my experience there.
You were working at the retirement facility from Happy Gilmore, huh?
Yeah. Literally. I was working at a nursing home.
Right.
Not the one from Happy Gilmore.
Okay.
But the culture there was basically, I remember coming in, I was excited, fresh out of college. I remember the orientation. They had this big speech about how one of their coin terms was the Weller life, because that was just...
That was their deal.
That was their deal. That they promoted the Weller life. They made up that word, and they love their employees, and they valued everyone, and they have all these posters about value and loyalty, and we, employees first. That was absolutely not the case. There was so much burnout, especially with caregivers.
Yeah,
There's a ton of burnout. When it comes to, like we were talking about, making mistakes, now people are scared to make mistakes, and in a lot of corporate cultures, there, if you made a mistake, it was if you make a mistake as a nurse or a doctor, there's all that. But just for me, as somebody who's walking into a room, kind of dancing or exercising with a resident,
right.
And then maybe not wanting to do it, or me forgetting to write something in for that day, or putting something on the calendar, you just got completely torn apart by your manager, by the executive president, and everyone was constantly at each other's throats. It was a very unhealthy work environment. And it really, everyone there didn't have that confidence to try new things, to, and I remember when I first got there, I had all these ideas. I wanted to take the residents ice skating and do all these like out of the box ideas.
Of course.
And I did take them ice skating. I took an 86-year-old woman ice skating.
How'd she do?
She did awesome. She had
awesome.
the walker, and we did, and I have a video, and it's awesome. And then I also took, those beach wheelchairs with like the big plastic.
Yeah.
So I took an 103-year-old, I put her in a beach wheelchair, but put it on the ice. So I skated her around, and it was the best experience. I had the best time. But then we got back, and apparently I was missing one signature, and it was a huge thing. And then I couldn't make a calendar for 3 months. I was a probate, like there was this whole thing, and it was just very disheartening,
So you did like this really beautiful thing for these people.
Yep.
Like really, helping them get out, have a little bit of joy.
They were ice skaters.
And they just, and you got torn up for that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and so then here, we actually practice what we preach. So we're very big on our values and our strategy and our culture here. That's something that draws a lot of people to Princeton. And one of the biggest things for me was that Mark was always like, make as many mistakes as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
Don't total the car, but dent it up as much as you need to.
Yeah.
And that really it started giving me that confidence again of, I'm capable to do this, and I can not only be an executive assistant in this industry that I knew nothing about, but now I can transition to an onboarding specialist. Not only that, but I can create the entire onboarding process. Not only that, but now I'm becoming the people operations partner. So it's just having that opportunity, especially I think for a lot of, I guess I'm like a half Gen Z, half millennial, but a lot of millennials are people getting out of college and not really knowing what they want to do, working for a company that promotes that confidence and that, we trust you to do this. And I think it's really awesome. It gets, it gets you excited.
Yeah,
It
makes all the difference in the world. If you're going to a job every day where you're terrified of the people above you.
That's sucks.
It not only affects your professional life, but it affects your personal life.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're going home and you're just like...
I'm crying every day, calling my mom.
You're staying up until 4 o'clock in the morning because you don't want the next day to start.
Yeah.
It's just totally unhealthy.
No, absolutely. I remember every single day calling my parents being like, I hate my life. I don't know anyone in Charleston. I don't like my job. I love the residents, but I'm so unhappy. What am I going to do? And I remember, I think I worked there for about a year. And in January, I woke up one day and I was like, I quit.
Good.
I don't know what I'm going to do after this, but I'm out. So I walked in, I quit, I left. I had a complete mental breakdown because I was like, all right, what do I do now? I have rent to pay, I have student loans to pay.
Yeah.
I got 4 jobs locally in Charleston, bartending, working at a marina, doing some dog walking, house sitting, some caregiving. So just kind of like doing whatever I can, all about the hustle.
I was about to say, you're just a straight up hustler.
You have to be.
Yeah.
All about the grind and just networking, getting to do, whatever. And one of the best things was I work at a local bar. So if you're in Charleston, come to Trio on Calhoun Street. I started working at this local bar, and weirdly enough, Mark knew the owner, and Mark asked the owner of the bar I was working at if he knew anyone that needed an assistant job. He was like, yeah, I have the perfect person. She works at like all these different places. I'm sure she'd be happy to park herself somewhere and not just be running around like a crazy woman. So I interviewed, got the job, and
and the rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history. And I still work at both, so don't have a lot of free time.
Yeah, I get it.
But again, I have bills to pay, and I have goals, and I want to be able to pay off my loans by 30, so that's 6 more years.
It's a great goal to have.
Yeah, I just want to be out of debt. I want to get a house without having all of that student loan debt, and it's a lot, but working here and then working at the bar Friday, Saturday. So Sunday is my day to like rest and relax.
Nice. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Well, so it sounds like you're like the perfect example of like, they talk a lot here about Princeton about the player versus victim mentality. And it sounds like you totally could have had the victim mentality when you were, working at the nursing home, or when you went in and you resigned to the nursing home, like, what am I going to do? But you didn't. You turned it into the player mentality. You hustled, and then that translated into here. And from what I've heard about you, I mean, you just skyrocketed through this company as soon as you started. So I mean, so I would say 90% player, 10% victim. I'm human, so I can get into places where I'm like, all this is going wrong, but what my mentality has always been, I think from a young age, I'm the oldest of 4, had to like always kind of grind, always had a job. As soon as I could get like a debit card, I wanted a debit card. Yeah.
As soon as I could work, I worked. I was like, I was working at a local snack bar pool. I was working like as a camp counselor, whatever I could do. I wanted to have that independence. My parents did an awesome job of being like, we could give you an allowance, but we want you to make your own money. And I think that's always kind of helped me.
Such an important lesson.
Yeah, career-wise. And so my mentality has always been bad things are going to happen. You're going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like, you're going to have experiences where you think like you hate your job, you hate your relationship, you hate whatever. So I'll give myself like an hour, maybe max a day, to like have a pity party and be like, oh, this sucks, and watch Netflix, eat, binge, whatever I need to do. I call my parents and cry pretty much whenever. That's like my they're awesome. But then after that, it's like, okay, I've cried, I've been upset about it. It's ready to move. Like it's time to move forward and just kind of like find the next thing, get over it.
So that's kind of your process.
That's
like
my process.
When it's just it's loaded up too much. It's like, all right, it's time to sit down, sit on the couch, have a good cry, rework my mind, and then I'm good.
Yeah.
Is there a moment when you're sitting there on the couch and you're watching Netflix, like does it register in your mind where you're like, all right, that's it?
Yeah,
I'm good.
yeah, because I get sick of being sick and tired. Like I'm like sick of crying.
Right.
I'm like, what am I getting out of this? There's nothing productive coming. It feels good to cry sometimes.
Of course. That's your player sneaking up behind your victim.
Yeah,
and
that's
like
like
pounding him down.
Yeah, it's like get it together. Like stop being a little baby. But like pat me on the shoulder and be like, all right, like it's enough's enough. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know how. Like I have a lot of friends that have been like, I don't know how you like get over things so quickly, and I'm like, I have to. Like there's no, life is short. Like you just gotta move on. But what I will say is it's given me. I know a lot of people that do sit in the pity party or like, woe is me lifestyle. It's something I just like, I don't have empathy for. I can't relate. So I'm always like, I can sit here and give you advice, but it's really up to you. Nothing changes. This is one of my favorite quotes.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing changes if nothing changes.
I love that.
Right? It's simple. It's my Instagram bio.
Okay.
It keeps me going. It's basically like if you're going to keep doing the same thing, like you can't wake up one day and expect, all right, my life's going to be wonderful now, or I'm going to get my dream job, or I'm going to lose weight or eat. You know, you got to change your.
You got to do it. That's funny. I had a question. I was going to ask you if you have kind of like a personal mantra for like when things get hard.
So that's one. Nothing changes if nothing changes. I also have another, but it's like a song, which maybe you can like insert the music.
Okay.
So it's by Young Baby Tate.
Okay.
It's a song. It's called "I Am," and it went viral on TikTok. And all these girls, it's like an affirmation. So there's cuss words. So maybe you have to beep it out, but it's So you're supposed to like say this to yourself every day. So in the car in the mornings, I blare it.
Okay.
And I'll like
daily. This is a daily thing.
Yeah, daily.
Right.
I'll pull into the office like blaring this song, and sometimes when I'm having like a tough time, I'll start like singing in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am rich, I am not bitch. I'm gonna go get that bag, and I'm not gonna take your shit. I am respected, well protected, I'm a queen, I'm a dream. I do what I want to do, and I'm who I want to be, because I am me.
That's awesome.
Right?
I don't know this song, but I love it.
You gotta listen to it. It's so good. It went viral, and like all these girls were singing on TikTok and just like getting all pumped up for their days.
I mean, like being able to like sing some stuff like that too. It really like it affects your entire body. Like it affects your entire mood.
And like when you're like in the car going to work, I'll have like my sunglasses on, I'm drinking my coffee, I'm like all energized, and I just blare it, and I'm just like singing it, getting like pumped up. But yeah, that's my thing. But a short version that's not as maybe like ghetto.
No, I like your version.
Right?
I love it. I think it's very relatable.
Yeah,
I mean, I think there's a lot of people that, you know, whatever kind of mood they're in, they're gonna get in their car, they're gonna play that music, and they're gonna let it out.
Yeah.
And I think
there's a ton of affirmations. Like I'll listen to one. It's like, I am the money tree. I love money. Money comes to me. Like just like little rhymes. Because affirmations and mindset and visualization and I guess like changing your brain path. Smart does a lot of trainings on that.
Yeah.
To really like what you think about and what you speak about is what happens, comes back to you.
It's true. I mean, it makes such a big difference. If you just spend your whole day in a dark hole, you're just literally going to be a dark hole of a person.
Exactly. And back to like when I find myself having those like, I'm like, oh, pity party. Like my life sucks. Like your life's going to suck. Like if you're sitting there like, oh, I'm going to have the worst day today. I don't want to go to this meeting. This meeting's going to be long and boring. It is. Like you're going to find yourself just continuously being in that dark place. And so you have to be like,
and we all have those moments.
Of course, everyone's
every day,
human.
Every single day.
It's a process to rewire your brain. And so I watch the documentary called The Secret on Netflix every once in a while, and it's basically about rewiring your brain. If saying those good things instead of saying those negative things. But so my friends will laugh at me because, especially my roommate, I live with my roommate from college. She moved to Charleston with me. If we're just randomly, sometimes I'll be like, I have no money, like, and then I'll say it out loud and to her and just into the universe, and then I'll be like, actually, cancel, and I cancel it out loud, and I say cancel. My mom taught me that actually, and then she'll crack up laughing. I'll be like, no, you gotta cancel it. And then I'll be like, I have a lot of money. You have to like work on rewiring yourself. But people laugh at me, or I'll be like, oh, I'm just like not really feeling my outfit. Like I look a hot mess today, and then I'm like, cancel. I'm beautiful. I'm great. It's gonna be the best day.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I mean, you're obviously, this is something that you're working on, on a constant basis. But the fact that you verbalize cancel, it's like you're manually pulling that back.
Yeah,
and you're rerouting it through your brain.
Cancel. I'm like, yep, cancel.
That's great.
I actually, years before I started working here, I went to a hypnotherapist. People can say that's woo-woo, whatever. In New York, it was one of my mom's good friends, and she's a very, notable, very prominent, does work with a lot of surgeons in New York and celebrities, and kind of does that work of rewiring your neural pathways to change your outlook and what the universe brings to you. So something she said to me, and I'll get your responses on this. She asked me, because I was in college at the time. She said, "Why do you study?"
Mm-hmm.
What would you say?
To pass my test. That's what
Okay, that's
yeah.
good. Okay,
yeah.
that's good. So you're better off than me. I said, "So I don't fail."
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And then she said, "Why do you go to the doctors?" And I said, "So I don't get sick."
Uh-huh.
And so all my brain is hearing is fail, sick, those negative connotations. So she said, instead, if I ask you, why do you study? Like you said wonderfully, to pass my test, to increase my knowledge on this subject. And then why do you go to the doctors? So I can stay healthy, so I can live a well, I can have a better well-being.
Right.
So then it's like these positive things instead of being like fail, sick, And so I learned all of that from her. And then her and my mom were talking, and that's when my mom was like, I use the word cancel. So I if I'm like, any of those things, she just like verbally tells the universe, cancel that thought.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's kind of how
we need to have like your own we need to have our own Olivia podcast about
I would love to.
This is how you rewire your brain.
Yeah,
if you're having a shitty day,
and I'm working on it. It's a work in progress, but I do try, and like every human does, I have days where I'm just gonna let myself be miserable today.
Of course.
But then, it's not fun to be miserable forever, and
right.
if I am miserable, my whole day is miserable. And then I go to bed miserable, wake up miserable. It's a cycle you have to really push your way out of that.
And if you let yourself get into that cycle, it's just such a bummer.
Yeah, you're not fun to be around. Do better.
Yeah,
be a better vibe.
Be a better vibe. I love that.
That should be my tagline. If someone's giving me just be a better vibe today. I don't like your vibe. You're giving me bad energy. Let's fix it.
And I like what you say about how asking the questions, because you could do the same thing about so why do you work?
Yeah.
And then you just be like, well, I mean, so I can make money, or
I don't want to be poor. I don't want
exactly.
to I don't want to be poor. I don't want to not pay my bills.
Right.
It's I work because I'm passionate about my job, because I like helping people. I like onboarding people. I like all the things that you love about it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's a natural. I feel like most people have the natural instinct that you always want to be learning. You always want to be bettering yourself.
Yeah.
And as long as you look at your work day as a chance to better yourself and face challenges and overcome those challenges, I mean, you become such a stronger person.
I spend pretty much every evening with my boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
He's really good about this as well, and which is awesome, because when you're with somebody, you're supporting each other through these goals and work and rewiring your brain. And each night at the end of the day, usually we'll be like, all right, what were 3 positives? Or what were 3 big things that happened in your day today? And even in days where it feels like you were just uphill battle all day, you can always find something, whether it's I said hello to somebody and they told me that my shoes were cool, or something, whatever it is, there's always something good to look at. And he also, whenever he catches me or I catch him in one of those negative days, he'll be like, all right, let's reset. And I'll physically push my friend and be like, all right, I'm reset, I'm good. And it's funny, you're laughing because you're I look like an idiot right now, but if I'm going down, I'm I'm spazzing right now, everything's so frantic, I'll be okay, reset, and just push my foot.
It's so great.
Like a button.
I mean,
it's
so
visual,
great.
like a button.
Right. And the fact that you and your partner, I mean, are both on board with that, you both ask each other these questions, it's monumental for your mental health on a daily basis.
100%. The world is crazy.
Oh God, as we know.
Yeah.
Well, this was good. Let me see if there's any more questions we want to go over. We've already done 30 minutes. Let's see. That was a really good conversation, I think.
Yeah,
Let's see if we can kick off a little bit more. Let me ask you an icebreaker question.
Okay.
So what's your favorite movie and why?
Okay, so this is just what came to my gut. This is what I just felt.
Right.
And I'll explain why. So it's Legally Blonde.
Okay.
And people are oh, of course. It's Legally Blonde because A, I love Reese Witherspoon.
Uh-huh.
B, I just think she's a badass, and everyone thought oh, this dumb blonde, what does she know? She can't get into Harvard. She's not going to be a lawyer. She's a sorority girl. She ended up not only getting into Harvard, but winning the whole case. And then she was so good that they made 2 extra movies.
Yeah.
So.
And that's a great movie. I love that movie.
I love that
Everybody
movie.
loves that
Bruiser
movie.
And the, I forget the actress's name. She's I'm taking the dog.
That's right.
The bend and snap is iconic.
The bend and snap.
The bend and snap is iconic. Yeah, anything Reese Witherspoon is in, Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah.
One of my favorite
I think
movies.
she's about to shoot her new show here. That Where the Crawdads Sing. I think they're shooting that.
I read that book. If I saw her, I would faint.
She lives here. She has a house here. Yeah.
How did I not know that?
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not a super fan because I don't follow her whereabouts, but I do any movie.
I think she's like Sea Island Club area. Like.
Okay, well, I'm about to start hanging out there. So shout out to Reese if you see me.
Yeah, and I might be totally wrong, but I'm pretty sure that I've heard that she lives out there.
She's just incredible. Even everything she does, like from an activist standpoint, from a female, you know, she does a lot.
Yeah.
And she's just like a strong, empowered woman. And I started watching her movies at a young age, and then I read all of her book club books. So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's always good to have like a good, you know, role model like that, and I'm sure that you probably seem like a role model like that to a lot of new people at Princeton who come in. They see your confidence. And they
hope so.
They see how well you do your job. They hear how well you're, you know, highly regarded by your superiors.
So that's like the biggest compliment.
Yeah.
If I know something Mark always said that resonated with me. He always says, at my funeral, which is morbid. He's like, at my funeral, what I want people to say about me is that I help them get to where they want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I kind of feel as well, especially, you know, onboarding is the process that the team and that I've helped build since maybe February, March.
Mm-hmm.
So even, do you know how I got into that role?
No, tell me about it.
Okay. So Courtney Graham who's like the queen of everything and can basically just do everything,
Total
juggle
badass.
everything. Yeah, right?
Total badass.
I look up to her in so many ways, but she was going on maternity leave.
Mm-hmm.
I was Mark's executive assistant at the time. She was going on maternity leave. COVID hasn't hit yet. So this was pre-COVID, you know, but so she said, we're not onboarding. We were probably a team of 40 people at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, I'm going on maternity leave. Olivia, do you think you could onboard, you know, while I'm out?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, I'd love to. Like, who says it? I'm one of the two that's like, yes, let me take on as much as I can. I want to be as valuable as I can to this company.
Right.
So, yeah, of course. So, you know, she's going through some things. We didn't have a process built out because there was so little. It was a smaller company.
Yeah.
And so it's basically, the process was, I meet with the new hires on the phone in the morning because it's like maybe one or two people.
And this is still pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Okay.
One or two people maybe every 3 weeks.
Okay.
Like it was not a ton.
Right.
Then I would walk through the hub with them, which is like our database.
Right.
That was it.
That's it.
That was it. Have a good time. Enjoy. Good luck. Yeah.
Right.
That, you know, and you know, then they would go to their managers, and their managers had a whole training for them, but that was pretty much my process. That was what, you know, and Courtney was doing marketing and everything else that she does, and with having a small team, there wasn't much to it.
Mm-hmm.
So then COVID happens, refinancing happens because the rates were so low.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have our sales team doing all of this production, and then our ops team was like, can we keep up? Can we not keep up? Can we keep up? So then our ops recruiters are onboarding a ton of ops people, a ton.
Mm-hmm.
So we were starting to have 2, 3, 4 people a week. And so then I was like, okay, wait, we got to figure this out.
Yeah.
So then we started to build out a process. We were just getting crushed, but in the best way.
Yeah.
Like it was like I was working from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., but loved it. Like I was like, because I love solving problems.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I have the chance to create this process and maybe like be an unsung hero. Like as an 8, you know, you like that kind of thing.
Totally.
So we're building this process, and I had the help from our IT team, our Genius Bar, and everybody was like, let's do this thing. And it was great, and we were getting a lot of good feedback, but things that there were so many breaks in the system, there also wasn't a system. So to be able to build that, and we built it out, and we're still building it out. And moving forward, we want to get more into the ongoing performance and like increasing people's knowledge and education and getting people to that next level. That's kind of like our next step. So not just the first 30 days, but first 90 days, first 6 months, first year.
Right.
It's important to get people not just through the door, but get them to where they want to go. So whether that's a different position, maybe they came in as an underwriter and like, actually I want to try post-closing, or I want to try closing, which is another beautiful thing about Princeton. If you're passionate about something, one of our values is be the own CEO of your life and work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if you want to do it, do it. We'll train you up if that's what you'd like to do. So I think that's really cool. They don't try to keep you in a position you're not happy with. But when Courtney came back from maternity leave, she was like, you got this.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just continue to do this? And I'm going to build out my marketing team. And so I got to stay with Onboarding, and I was super pumped about it. And then I got a little title promotion to People Operations Partner,
Okay.
which, like I said, is POP Pop. So I think that's super cool.
It is cool.
Because for a while it was like, what is Olivia actually doing? Like, she's onboarding, she's doing licensing, she's still kind of Mark's assistant. There's a lot going on. But so I didn't really have a title. My signature said People Operations.
Yeah.
Like, because no one really knew. So I finally got my title.
Hell yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. Which is Pop, and I think that's really cool. So.
I love it. And Princeton has like grown astronomically since you started onboarding.
Yeah.
So like you've onboarded so many people that have
Yeah.
come over, because obviously Princeton offers a lot, for people to come work here. There's, the freedom and responsibility, the Princeton Promise, all these great things that Princeton does, and all these programs they offer that are bringing people in, and you have been the gatekeeper to all of these people.
I get to see them firsthand, which that's what I really like, because obviously any time that you're making a big life change, whether it's career, relationship, moving, whatever, it's anxiety.
jarring.
Yeah, it's anxiety driven. You're unsure. You're making this big there's this big life changing event. Change is difficult or scary for most people. So being able to be that kind of like liaison, hand holder, gatekeeper, the person who you can be like, oh, I have a question. I know exactly who to go to, and I might not know everything, but I'm pretty feisty, so I will track down whoever I need to get the answer. And be able to provide them with the right answer. But just to be able to see people from signing their offer letter to maybe down the road signing their offer letter to declining the offer. That's like a huge, it's like, oh, that's awesome, and if you don't know what the offer is, go
ahead, tell them.
So the offer is something really cool. When I first heard about it, I was like, you guys are out of your mind. This will never work. You're going to lose a ton of money. But the offer is actually something on every employee's 90th day, we will offer you, or our CEO will offer you $5,000 to quit, which sounds very strange. But what it does is, we don't want to keep people here that are unhappy. We don't want to just fill the seats. We want people here that are eager to come into work, that are A players, that want to get better. And I think since I've been here, I don't know how many offers we sent, probably over 100 or some, and maybe two people have accepted it.
Yeah.
And there are people that we kind of saw it coming. So, I think it's awesome. And then when people do accept or decline the offer, and say, no, I don't want the 5,000. I want to work here. I love it here. But they also share feedback, and then that feedback helps us also just improve the machine. So for me to be able to see people sign their offer letter to decline their offer is just like a big triumph.
And it's such a powerful way for Princeton to put their money where their mouth is.
100%.
It's like, we want the best in every seat.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to be the best, here's $5,000.
Yeah, peace
Kick
out.
it on down the road.
Yeah, peace out. And I always remember, I think, so when I got my offer, it was $2,500 on day 30. And I was joking around. I knew I wasn't going to accept it. I would literally never leave this company. They'd have to offer me millions, maybe not even then. But I remember Dave and I played a joke on Mark. So I was like, Dave, I just got my email. And he was like, oh, stand up and be like, $2,500, I'm out of here. So I did. And Mark put his head out the window. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, you're not leaving. You can sit back down. Because Mark and I were working really well together, and I was helping him a lot. But then they were like, let's up the ante. Let's do it 90 days in. So they get more of an experience, more time for things to go wrong. Maybe, you never know, but hopefully not. And then $5,000. And Mark's now talking I'd even like to make it $10,000.
Wow.
But
the people don't take it because they want to stay.
People don't take it, and if they do, we learn from it. We move forward, and
the company's probably better off.
And then people won't take it for the same reason in the future because we've fixed it.
Right.
So it's kind of and whenever I'm sending the email, I'm like, if this person takes the offer, I just couldn't imagine it. I'm like, you know what, peace out, kick rocks. I wish you the best of luck, but huge mistake because this company walks the walk and talks the talk. I don't know how else to explain it.
Hey, I'm right there with you. I'm relatively new to Princeton as well. Newer than you,
like
obviously. I love it. I mean, but I feel the same way. They really do. They back up what they say.
Yeah, and I mean, you have days and there are struggles and like anything in life, but I think for the most part, there's really no culture like it, and it's not just a poster on the wall that says we value our employees.
Right.
I've also had the opportunity. Like, I remember thinking it was so cool. It was maybe my second. Actually, even cooler, I got hired. As soon as I got hired, there was a Christmas party, and I went, and Rich, the CEO, flew into Charleston to meet me and to be with the team. And I thought, like, this is so cool. Like, this is the CEO. And every time Rich calls me, I, like, still black out. And I tell him this. I'm like, every time I see his, because I just think so highly of him that I get, like, starstruck in a way.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, he's so intelligent and, like, But he came in and he introduced himself and he sat with us and had a whole dinner with us. And then throughout my growth here, he'll call me, and I heard him call you today as well. Anytime I would maybe reach a new, like a new goal or roll out a new project or program, or if I've had any success here, he calls me face to face on Teams and is like, "How are you doing? I just want to say, like, kudos to you." And I literally call my parents.
I know.
I'm like, "Dad, the CEO just called me," and like, it's just really cool that he makes it a point, because I'm sure I'm busy, so I'm sure he's insanely busy, but he makes it a point to not only congratulate face to face your success, but get to know you and ask, "What are you doing this weekend? What are you doing today? Like, tell me a little bit about your family life." And I think that's awesome. And not only that, but with onboarding specifically, he now meets with all new hires on day one for, I think, like a half hour.
That's right. Yeah, I did that. Our studio is falling apart.
Our studio, our sound. What are they?
That's sound foam.
Yeah, our sound foam is effed up in here. But yeah, he introduces himself to every new hire that's coming in the door. And like, I would shit my pants if he's like intimidating. And Mark's intimidating in the best way, not in like a you're scared to mess up or say the wrong thing, of like, you want to be that person.
He has a very commanding presence.
Yeah.
But he's also he seems very approachable and understanding.
100%.
So he's like,
it's like a catch-20. Like, it's like, I don't know how to explain them.
He exudes a lot of really good vibes.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't want to disappoint him.
And he's very goofy. Like, when you get down to it and you catch him like on those days, like, he's very funny and goofy. But our leadership is just, because it always comes from the top.
Right.
Like, that's So when you have a CEO and you have your leadership team, Courtney, Jim, Paul, Mark, Aaron, who's with HR now, they all are learning from Rich, and then they're, it's just
it's a trickle down, and it's great.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome.
So we've talked about where you've been. We've talked about what you've been doing here. I want to ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where have you been? Where are you going?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I have an answer, but I will say I've always struggled with goal setting.
Yeah.
Just because I either, like, most of the time it gives me anxiety.
Of course.
Because I'm like, I don't know, like, I don't want to think about that. Like, I like to be in the present, and if I think too much in the future. But here with the OKRs, objectives, key results, in 5 years, I'm not slowing down anytime soon. So in the short year and a half that I've been here, it's really just been like title change, promotion. I've been super fortunate. So, I mean, the sky's the limit, and I am just going to keep running through walls. So I don't know what position or title I'll have, but I'm definitely going to keep climbing the ladder. I have a lot of growth still on being able to not only manage myself, but I would love to have a team. We're type 8s, we're leaders.
Of course.
So I'd love to have my own team, be able to be a leader like how Mark has been to me, how I've worked with Jeff Waldrop, Aaron, how Rich has been, all of these leaders that I've gotten the opportunity to work with. I want to be a leader like that to people that are graduating college and were a little bit lost like me, that are trying to find their way. That's really what would, that's what would get me up in the morning and be like, you're having all these people who are just like you, and they're coming in and they're scared and they don't know where to go, but you're going to get them to make promotions and get them to have title changes and just keep climbing that ladder. So that's the goal. I don't have like a real answer. I'm going to be living in Charleston probably forever.
Okay.
5 years, I'd like to be engaged.
Okay.
Hint, hint, if you're listening. Just have to drop that in there. Kids, one day, not anytime soon. I love to travel. I still have like that travel spirit, and
Good.
even with COVID, I've masked up and been able to. I went to Aspen, I went to Tulum. I've gone to cool places, but
Nice.
so yeah, that's that. There's no set path, but
Right.
that's kind of. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally. After getting to know you and talking to you for this
Yeah.
past 45 minutes or so, I have no doubt that you were just gonna like continue to just astronomically climb through this.
Yeah, I have no.
and be
That's a
successful at whatever you're doing.
Thank you. But I have no, and so the thing with goals, what's hard for me is I'm one of those people that I have something short term that I want to accomplish. I sprint to it, accomplish it, and I'm like, all right, what's the next thing?
Mhm.
So there's no like end all be all job for me or title or, CEO, business owner, whatever. Like, I don't know. I like to make enough money where I could own my own business.
Mhm.
Don't know what that would look like, but I want to have money in a lot of places. I want to be smart financially. I want to maybe have I don't know.
Right.
But there's no stopping. So
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
Well, Olivia, thank you so much for
You're
joining us
welcome.
this week on Effortless.
That was fun.
Effortless
That was-
Conversations. This was a lot of fun.
That was effortless.
It was effortless.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous. I was talking to Shelly and David and them, and I was like, I just hope I don't cost too much or like say I want to be something weird or do something weird. But
No, you were perfect. It flowed.
Thank you.
It was flowing. It was a
Sweet.
good conversation. I really enjoyed it.
I'm pumped. Well, thank you. I'll come back and do something on rewiring the brain.
Yes.
I have so much.
Yes.
I have like a lot of like, I have all the things.
So we're like picking up Effortless Conversations now with me as the host, and we're gonna start adding new like little,
One-offs.
little pieces. So
Yeah.
I think your Olivia's brain rewire could definitely be one of our
Let's do it.
features.
I would love to because one's like, this was the get to meet me, and then I'll come on and be like, let me teach you how to rewire your brain.
That's right.
Or let me teach you how to, I don't know, run through walls.
Well, I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, of course.
And,
Me too. That was really easy.
You just keep crushing it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome.